All right, all right, all right. So Faith OP here on this Freedom Friday morning, and we just remembered to hit the record button. So um, we are talking about, what are we talking about this morning, Becky P?
Coffee.
Yeah,
How,
coffee.
how grateful we are for our coffee. And we got on the discussion around what kind of coffee we
Yeah.
drink and what we want to do differently. So you were sharing with me about Folgers coffee specifically, because that's what I currently had in my cup. And your guidance is what we're talking about on what you know about
Yeah.
coffee.
What do we know about coffee? Well, we know that Folgers is, first of all, a big name, big corporation, and they're not for the people. They're not for the
Yeah.
people. So first of all, we're just going to go for Freedom Friday. You got to be for the people.
Yes.
You got to be for the people. And then we just talk GMOs, so I think it's really important, especially to start off your day if you're a coffee drinker, to have organic coffee, at least fair trade, if not organic, like more of a local too. So things to think about when you're buying coffee: local, fair trade, organic, whole bean, because it's going to be fresh. When you grind it, it's going to smell better. It's going to taste better. So getting a coffee grinder, I think that's one of our first steps here, getting a coffee grinder. Then after we talked about coffee grinder, which you can get for $10, maybe $15 if you want something a little more upgraded at Walmart. Although I'm not a huge Walmart shopper, but some things are just easier, kind of just
Yeah.
depends. I would first focus on changing the coffee and not where we're getting the coffee grinder.
Yeah.
Although those are definitely both things that I like to look at. And then coffee
'Cause-
filters,
Oh yeah.
are you using white coffee filters? Because those are bleached. They actually
Mhm.
take the time to bleach these. Like, that's a plan. That is a plan.
Yeah. What's
Who
the
takes the
purpose of
time to
that?
bleach paper to give
Why?
it to you? Why? So it goes through bleach probably, so it poisons our bodies, poisons our mind. I don't know. That's what I kind of feel like. I kind of feel like sometimes they're trying to do this stuff to us.
Yeah.
And our goal is to try to stay healthy, right?
Right. Yeah.
So these
I
small
don't
little
know.
things we
Yeah.
can do.
That's so brown.
Brown
And you
coffee
can find them
filters.
right at Walmart as well. Are you saying?
Yeah, you can find them right at Walmart as well, and usually right by the coffee grinders and coffee pots, is where you can find those. And sometimes I have found that the brown ones are harder to find. Um, and I think that's always a good sign too. If it's harder to find, they probably don't want you to have it. So, no,
Find
uh,
it. The treasure. Go find the
yeah,
treasure.
find the treasures, the Godwinks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely brown coffee filters, get whole bean and grind it, and look, is your coffee local? Is it organic? Is it fair trade? These are all
What
things,
does fair trade mean?
fair trade means that that the farmers who are gathering the coffee beans are getting paid a fair wage,
Oh,
because it can be one of those things where like with Folgers, who knows if that is even real coffee beans. First of all, I'm going to be honest, like, I don't even know that I would
yeah.
trust that that is full on coffee beans being picked. There's got to be some coffee bean in it, I would guess. I
Right.
don't know. I'm not diving into Folgers, I
Right.
just go the other direction. But kind of like where they don't pay kids to make, all that China stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, I think the same thing goes into the coffee business.
Sure.
It's one where people aren't getting paid for the
Right.
work that they're
More like
doing. So
slavery.
yeah, yeah. So it's companies, and several companies that I know, and it'll say right on the bag, fair trade
Okay.
coffee.
Yeah.
So it's a bigger deal in the coffee industry. So that must be a pretty hard, and I don't know this for sure. I'm just saying,
Right.
just from things that I've seen, a pretty hard, labor intensive job,
Yeah.
I'm guessing. So yeah, making sure it's fair trade, because you can get fair trade that's not organic, because getting that organic symbol on there, there's a whole other process you have to go through. It's a very expensive process. Gosh, which could take me down the road of buying organic vegetable, probably save that. Well, we can maybe save that for
Next hour.
next talk,
But
time,
what
because
I
it
what
really
I
all
love
weaves
about it,
together.
yeah, well, yeah, and it speaks to, consciously knowing what's going in our bodies to
Mhm,
be healthy, which is what you're all about.
mhm,
So, what I love about the conversation is like these are small things, right? Like I've been drinking this coffee every day
mhm,
for, at least a year.
mhm,
And that question of like, well, what are you drinking? And like I instantly was like, Folgers. And you're like, let's change that. And that's one thing I could change right now to start
mhm,
being more conscious of the labels or what's going on. And what I love about what you shared too is that right away you were like, oh, less about big companies, more about the people. And then here you are, fair trade, like telling us more about what fair trade means. And that's exactly what it is. It's about the
mhm,
people and making sure that
mhm,
it's a win for the people that are supplying the labor
mhm, mhm,
for the product, which I
mhm.
love. So thank you for sharing that with me. These
Yeah,
are changes, these are small baby steps that I will be taking to, live more consciously.
yeah, yeah, and that's what it's all about, right? It is when we know better, we can do better, and that was kind of one thing we wrapped around, talking this morning. When we know better, we can do better, and letting that penetrate in our being.
Hmm.
Sister
So good.
being.
Sister Bean. Yes. I love it.
All right, good stuff, good stuff. Let's see here. We're gonna pause this conversation. We have a minute and a half to share any breadcrumbs, God winks, treasures you have picked up along the way this past week, or if there's anything that's been laid upon your heart this morning to share or to bring to the table for discussion or to simply be heard. Now would be the time. Ladies, do you have anything this morning? Well, I have one. I'll share real quick. Um, so Becky and I met before this, and we are doing the Think and Grow Rich study. And so we tried to take a little time on Friday mornings to just kind of go deeper on Think and Grow Rich and talk about, what's stirring up and how we're moving forward. And I was sharing a few ways that I was moving forward this morning and just things that have been stirring up. I have my chief aim and I shared one with her. And then I shared a few more. And she said, "What did you say, Becky? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh."
Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't want to share it if you didn't want to share it. So yes, when you were talking about the first one you talked about was spiritual direction and
Yeah.
how it's on your heart that that's part of your chief aim is to, work with people on spiritual direction. And I was like, I waited for you to complete what you were talking about. And then I said, you know what's really funny and great? I just recorded a video of me as a testimony for Beth that she didn't know about last night, stating the spiritual growth that I have had from being in the presence of Beth Schmidt and how I highly recommend that people connect with her. And she holds a beautiful space for you to lean into that. And I literally made a video last night, and that's what she started the conversation out about how she's, sees that unfolding. I was like, well, so do I. And that's why I made a video testimony about that exact same thing, how it's improved me.
Isn't that great? Like, God wink.
Or God
uh,
nod. That's like a nod.
Nod. Yes. Yes. So good. So good. But it's 7:10. So let's head off, get our intentions done, and we'll meet back here at the top of the hour. All right. Now we have time for any breadcrumbs, treasures, God winks we have picked up along the last 40 minutes, along the last week, or anything that has been laid upon your heart to bring to the table this morning to share, discuss, or simply be heard. Now would be the time. Ladies, do you have anything?
I just love the conversation that we had about like small changes, right? Like
Mm,
taking small baby actionable steps to start a process, instead of getting caught up in the minutia of like
mhm,
all of the questions that we can have, starting simple and,
Mhm.
building from there has been a really great
Mhm.
conversation.
Yeah, that really has been. And what comes to mind when you say that is sustainability, right? Because if we make these big changes, like, oh, just for example, I mean, just even getting back to like years ago when, I started like kind of in the holistic nutrition and wellness was like, empty the cupboards, bring in all the new stuff. Let's go. We're on a new diet today, or
Mm,
whatever the case may be. We're starting a new diet. Empty it all out. We're starting fresh. And then you can't sustain that because you don't, first of all, don't know how to use the stuff. You don't know how to use the stuff. You don't know where to find the stuff. You don't know how to make the stuff, so it's just like you're living in two different worlds for too long. And then it's like, screw it. I'm going back to the comfort zone, going back to what was easy. So we were kind of talking about the coffee grinder this morning, which is a great place to start grounding your own coffee beans, because first of all, too, I would say even if it comes in bean form, then it's a higher grade of coffee. Not necessarily, but it's a good place to start. Just grind the coffee beans, so getting that coffee grinder. But we also talked about like, what else could you use your coffee grinder for? Like, you're making this $10 to $15 investment. It's going to sit on my counter. Am I just going to use it in the morning? No, you can actually use it for other things. So like now we're growing herbs. You can dry out your herbs. You can grind down your herbs in your coffee grinder. And you can also, I choose to be dairy free. You can ground your flax seed in there. And with flaxseed, you can make eggs. So that's a big one. That's a big one right there. We can talk about that some other time because we're at 8:01 and we got to get to Lexio, but good stuff. We will continue this conversation. Oh, we're not back until Wednesday. Some other time. All right, ladies, have a great weekend. See you on the other side.